Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. Today I have my friend Alan with me. How are you today?
I'm well. How you feeling, Tom?
I'm great. So I met Alan. We were just talking. It's probably been 9 years ago. We worked together at the casino. He was a
Right.
dealer. I was a dealer. He always had a smile on his face. And I would always, I don't know if you remember, I'd always compliment your smile. Always. I was like, keep that smile. So I, as many of you know, like to keep in contact with people. So I never lost contact with Alan. I've been watching a journey of his for 9 years. So for everybody that doesn't know, this is Hope, helping other people evolve. And what my mission and vision here is just to show people that they're not struggling alone. I know so many people are at home, laying on their couch, sitting in their bed, just thinking they're all alone in their struggles. And unfortunately, people that I know have been through some struggles, but fortunately, they've been to a strength. So, what I like to do is just share those stories just to maybe give you some hope that day to get you out of bed to know that you can walk out into this world and it's going to be okay. So, Alan, I didn't really know a lot about his story. We kind of went over it a little bit, and I'm excited for him to share with all of you. So, you grew up here in Toledo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Um, Grew up in Toledo, North Side. And the reason I mention the side is because the city is very territorial as far as gangs are concerned, as far as family and different affiliations. So um, it just really that's kind of important
Yeah.
about who I am. So yeah,
So you have two brothers or one? Two brothers?
two brothers. I'm the
Brothers.
oldest.
Okay.
I have a brother younger than me, and then my baby boy, he's 4 years younger than me.
Okay. Okay. And so you mentioned that growing up, you guys went into foster care.
Yeah, very tumultuous upbringing. Um, you can use your imagination, but it's a lot of dysfunction, a lot of broken promises, broken relationships, days without things of that nature. And my mother, she did the best she could, but really, ultimately, I feel like the world took a piece of her.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we ended up in foster care right around the time that I was going into high school.
Oh, okay. Now all three of you went to the same foster care.
That is one thing that the courts did, and then they made an effort to keep us together.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere we went, living out of trash bags and uh, different dresser drawers and small rooms, like we were always together.
Well, that was a blessing, I'm sure.
It was
Yeah.
definitely at a time where like I said, a lot of broken relationships, broken promises. So my brothers were really some of the only consistency I had.
Mm. So that was, you said, going into high school. So that had to have been hard, period, just because I'm sure people knew.
People knew,
Yeah.
and what ended up happening was I was supposed to go to one high school, but I kind of showed some promise on the football field, and I was my mother was convinced to allow me to transfer to Scott. So uh, I really didn't. I reunited with a lot of people that I went to school with earlier,
Okay.
but I was different. Um, I remember going into freshman camp. When I came there, I had been stabbed the day before.
Stabbed? Did you
Yes.
say? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, in a robbery
Oh.
attempt. So I go I go to practice and they calling me stab wound in
Oh.
practice, and because I had my hand taped up and my ribs taped up, and it's
Right.
just that was some of the things that I dealt with that maybe a lot of people don't know about. To me, it was just something I was going through, and then
Mm-hmm.
kind of looking at the world, it's like this is hard to me, but that's hard to them what they dealing with. So I never really felt the need to, I guess it wasn't nothing anybody can do about the situation I was in at the time. So
Right. So you mentioned your mom then too. So your mom has always been in your life then, or not really?
all right, so um, my going into high school, like once we went into foster care,
Mm-hmm.
it became. I remember having to go downtown for visitation with my mother.
Mm.
This, not 2 or 3 years old running around.
Right.
I'm 14, 15 years old. having to go downtown and visit with my mother in a room for an hour.
Yeah.
And when the foster care first happened, they were very strict about that. And then it was family issues and different things, and my mother felt the way. So I was kind of torn emotionally. Really, honestly, that was really what did it to me, like having to see my mother suffer.
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up, we stayed with different people all throughout our high school years. And by the time I was a senior, my youngest brother was a freshman.
Okay.
But we went to 3 different high schools, although we stayed in the same house
Okay.
because of the way we were moving around, and they wanted to keep us at the same schools. So really didn't see mom during that. And then when I got out of school, I earned a football scholarship and some academic scholarships. And, I had a nice choice of schools I wanted to go. I just knew I wanted to get away from here.
Mm-hmm.
But my resources and family resources only really allowed me to do so much. So um, instead of, and my first football letters came from Ivy League schools, Dartmouth, Cornell, Columbia, Penn. But like I said, like resources made it so I wasn't able to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really had it made up in my mind I was going to be a football star. Ended up going to Tiffin University. Finished in 4.5 years with a double major in IT and e-commerce.
Okay.
Didn't see my mom again for that amount of time. So
Mm-hmm.
our relationship started to really suffer from that point.
Right.
Um, when I got out of school, I ended up moving to Columbus. I just knew I didn't want to come back to the city. It was probably my junior year. And I had the full apocalypto of college experiences. Like college is, I feel like if you're not going to build rockets, fix people's hearts, or do anything like that, then it's a better investment of $100,000
Yeah.
than to just get a business degree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I had the full apocalypto of experiences. It was like its own world, but it was very insulated.
Okay.
But got out of college my junior year, and I'm just like senior year. I'm like, I'm not ready to get no jobs they was talking about in here. So ended up moving back home, and maybe moved to Columbus with $75 in my pocket. I bought a car for like 1,200. It's a Lincoln Town car, 75 in my pocket. Ended up moving to Columbus. I knew some people down there, and I ended up staying down there for 6 years.
Okay.
But my it's just my mother got sick, and I ended up moving back. And as I'm talking, I'm realizing the theme in this story is my relationship with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She really was the barometer for a lot of the decisions I made.
Okay.
But she got sick, so I quit my job, moved out my apartment, moved back home, and I kind of been here ever since.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking, let me think what I was just going to say about that. I was just thinking about your mom and getting sick. Is she?
I mean, yes, she had some heart issues.
Okay.
Like they operated her on her. And actually, I remember I was at work. I was working at Walmart, like third shift in the back room doing stock type stuff. IMS, I believe, is what they called it at the time. I got a call from a young lady who was older than me in high school, but like we developed a little cool relationship. And she was actually going to nursing school with my mother at the time.
Okay.
She called me. She said, "Boom, boom, is this your mother?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like she had a heart attack. I said, "What?" She all right? No. She didn't have my number. She called me like on Facebook or something. So I went in, waited till the managers got in that morning, and said, "I got to go home." Um, Finished everything up bill wise and got a truck and moved all my stuff back. She's all right, as all right as she can be.
Mm-hmm.
And our relationship never really got back the way I envisioned it in my mind.
Right.
But, at this point, it's just something that I got to try to reconcile my part of it because love is unconditional. Every time I talk to her, it's she's mother son. But, there are a lot of painful things that we went through together and then both of us individually that kind of we got to figure it out, or we
Yeah.
don't. It's just gonna figure itself out. Like
Right.
sometimes we gotta let time do its job. So
Yeah. So growing up on the north side, basically, right?
yes,
And I know that there's probably was a lot of like gangs and stuff like that over there.
yes.
Yes. Did you ever get involved in any of that?
Um, I did actually.
Yeah.
Um, I never was initiated or jumped
Right.
in or anything like that, and I never really was outside with people or never really threw up a lot of signs. But you know, they call it jumped off the porch. I really jumped off the porch when I was 7 years old. Um, I seen my first. I seen my first for the first time. I seen a person get shot when I was 6.
Mm.
Some dude got shot in his testicles for, um, you can imagine, but just his screams, it was crazy. Like I'll
Yeah.
never forget the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Um, 7 years old, I kind of really, and we were standing in Port Lawrence during the '80s, early '90s, so it was crazy. Um, 7 years old, I kind of started to get out here and do the wrong things. I was fighting in school all the time. It's one of the reasons I kept having to go to different schools.
Mm.
Um, fighting in the yard just all the time because that's what we did. But had a few motivations for kind of reining it in, but I never really got affiliated. I mean, I got some family members that um, they definitely affiliated,
Mm-hmm.
like family, my brothers, sisters too. But I was never really. I don't like the outcomes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. But and that's probably, I mean, being in that area of your life and growing up with that, that was probably hard to keep yourself out of that. No, wasn't hard.
uh, Only because, and we kind of talked about this a little earlier, but the way I was raised, I it was like my mom and my brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we went out, we never really did things together, but like we all in our own separate world. So I was kind of used to both. It was kind
Mm-hmm.
of like I really just do what I want to do.
Mm.
I never really felt pressure to do any of that stuff. And then too, a lot of my OGs and elders, and a lot of people was like, "Nah, he's smart." I don't know what it is about me, but they like, "Nah, he's smart, man. Gone in the house, gone." You feel me? Like they never really let me get involved as much as I kind of wanted to. But I had a lot of bottled stuff up, so I was always out there fighting with them, against them, um, trying to figure my emotions out. But nah, they they wouldn't let me get involved.
Good, good. That's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah. So um, I know that you do rap,
Yes.
right? You have these like rap battles. I see you do.
Yeah. Okay. So despite all that, like my life is great. Um, I let time do its job, and I'm really appreciative um, of some of the small things that are really big things.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to rap, that kind of sort of developed and became an outlet for me. Really, like when I did it, when I started, like everybody was rapping. Like that's just what you did. I remember
Mm-hmm.
going to the library with my friend. This is before internet too, like before it became popular. And then you used to have money to have a computer.
Right.
We used to walk to the library, get on the internet, look up lyrics, talk about all the hot new mixtapes. So rap was always something I wanted to do, and I kind of wanted to, like you just want to show how nice you are. So what happened was, and this is an analytical business perspective too.
Okay.
Soldier Boy actually made it possible for individual artists to control, distribute, um, and basically create their own music, their own sound, and control everything. So with that, that was kind of happening when I was coming out of college too. So I just kind of was always doing it and putting my own stuff out, and then we kind of caught fire with some people. So it was it's definitely something I do. Rap battling, See, it's a difference to the okay. So when you rap battle, you kind of tearing people down.
I saw that last one that you did. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you kind of tearing people down. Like, but when you with music, it's a building situation. Like you have to come together. It's a real collaborative effort. So behind the scenes, the energy is different,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I'm I kind of do a lot of stuff. I, I'm kind of decent at a lot of stuff, so I'm not excellent at anything. And when you kind of mix energies and you don't compartmentalize the correct way, you can kind of you can kind of mess yourself up. So although I do it, I'm always looking for ways that I can improve. It's almost kind of like my job is never done. So
Right.
yeah, it's
So do you write music too?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
I probably did in my life maybe 12 or 13 albums,
Okay.
but for political reasons and a lot of other weird reasons, I had to take a lot of my music down. But I have currently 5 albums on all major networks
Oh,
or
nice.
all digital platforms.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
because I've listened to some of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's. I mean, if it catch your ear, I've never really been a tag of people in the post. Hey, listen to my song, or
Uh-huh.
we get together and do something. I'm like, hey, I got. It's
Yeah.
like if you into that, it'll catch you. So
Yeah. So I've watched that journey, and this is just me watching you over the last 9 years. Did you move up to Detroit for a little while after you left the casino?
no,
No. Okay.
just used to spending some time up there. That's it.
Okay. I was wondering because I remember seeing some things like that. So now I know in the last few years you had a major change in your life.
Oh yeah,
A little beautiful girl.
yeah. That's my baby girl. So sometimes I get a little verbose. Excuse me, and I talk. My mind kind of work like an apartment building. We all in the same house, but when I speak, I might go into different
That's
apartments.
okay. That's okay.
The thing that makes it consistent though, with everything, is my daughter. I feel like she saved my life. She kind of grounded me and gave me purpose. And it's also a situation where, like, the way I came up, you know, I kind of really can. I do what I want, not because, you know, it's. I don't think it's arrogance. It's just that's what I'm used to. But my daughter is the ceiling for that, and she definitely is. She's grounded me a lot. Um, and just the understanding of my responsibilities on this earth now have completely changed. So yeah, that's my baby though.
She is adorable.
I
I
appreciate
love
you.
watching your posts with her, and she's just as cute as can be and just getting big.
I
How old
appreciate
is
you.
she now?
She's 2.
2. Okay. I thought she was about 2. I couldn't.
A grown 2.
A grown 2. Of course she
Yeah.
is because she has you as her dad.
Yeah, right. I don't know if it's good or bad thing, depending on who you ask.
Yeah. So let's go back to college football. So you said you went to Tiffin on scholarship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I feel like really for me in my position, the only way I was really gonna just get out the city
Yeah.
and see something else was to like be good at football, because they was just giving all this money to young kids to go play football, and it's something I had already been doing. So um, I had some good mentors really throughout my life in every aspect. I've always kind of gravitated toward people um, who have genuine energy, and they tell me stuff that sound halfway right. So my coaches was like, "Man, you good, man. You can just do this. You can go to school for free." So I'm just like, "All right." Did it. End up going to Tiffin on a football scholarship. Um, I had different offers, and it was cool. I had the shoe boxes. We did some press conferences. We had some newspaper clippings. I mean, like, that stuff was real cool at the time. In
Yeah.
high school. It was a parade of fanfare. I really enjoyed it. And it kind of motivated me to be better. I'm like, oh, that's what this like. So yeah, I didn't. No one gave me a scholarship. I earned it.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to emphasize that, and really kind of tie into the main point of H.O.P.E right now. Like, you really have to be a self starter at the end of the day. Like, it has to be a fire or something that burns inside you. And we do different things to, like, play psychological games with ourselves, for lack of a better phrase, in order to motivate ourselves and different techniques work for different people, but I really think my desire to leave my situation and do something different and
Mhm.
come back with a bag of gold for my family, like that really made me get sweet because the way I was born, the way I was built, I wasn't supposed to be good.
Right.
But I put in the work. Um, and environment helped too because there were some other neighborhood kids around me. Shout out to my boy Will. He went to Michigan, won a couple Rose Bowl rings in the Reggie Bush era. Um, he, him, a couple of other my dogs, like they was working with me, so it was kind of like cool to work and achieve together. So it was
Mhm.
healthy and competitive.
Yes.
Self starter.
Self-starter. And that's huge. I like what you said about, because it's all up here in our head, what we can do and what we can't do. And I say this a lot when I'm talking to people. Like, I heard somebody say the biggest bully in the world is yourself. So either you're going to tell yourself the good things or the bad things. And usually it's the bad until you can get your mindset to that different level.
I feel like, okay, so different quotes and different things I read resonate with me over time. Reading a lot of stuff about getting out of your head about things, letting time do its job. Um, we all know patience is a virtue, but it's very simple to say, but you really have to discipline yourself to focus on what's important. And that's kind of like what my daughter did for me. So she really changed the trajectory of my whole life. And I think differently now based on that. A lot of people, sometimes responsibility changes them. I think that's what happened with me.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times, situations change people. Um, but it's like either you will discipline yourself or circumstance will discipline you.
That's good.
Yeah, so definitely you have to, your mentality, we torture ourselves with, what people think, people's idea of us. We find different coping mechanisms for things we may be going through. Um, and no one's exempt. I think what we have to realize about the world is no matter what it looks like on the internet
Mhm.
or, no matter what you think about something, even those two statements right there, you're not even thinking about yourself first. You kind of what they think or you
Mhm.
analyze other situations. Like you have to really turn that energy inward. And I think when you do that, you begin to acknowledge certain things about yourself. And if you got that fire for things that you say that you want, things are happening. You can begin to like change yourself, but
Yeah.
you kind of really got to turn that energy
Mhm.
in here first.
You
You
really
know,
do. And I like a little point that you just made too about the internet world, social media and all that, because you sit back and everybody's looking at all these things that and it's amazing, and they're on the beach with their kids, and but what we don't know is what the real life is. And I try really hard with myself to portray what real life is. If I'm having a day, I will let you know, like, every day isn't like, it's
yeah,
rainbows and unicorn days. But what I've learned
yeah,
is when I get up every day, what you're talking about too, my mindset. If I get up every day and if I wake up and maybe I'm having a bad moment, I know that I do my gratitude. I read something that's going to motivate me. I look in the mirror and have conversations with myself, which was so weird when I started doing that. But
yes,
I've
it
learned
is
that
different.
it's that whole inner thing that I have to do. Like
Yeah,
today, I'm taking myself on a date. I'm going to go to the movies and go to dinner.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And you really have to treat yourself like you care about yourself.
right.
Um, and then, a lot of times, and this is something I learned over the years because a lot of times people, I don't know how I appear to people. It ain't that I don't care.
Right.
It's just that it don't matter.
Right.
But I will occasionally post, oh yeah, I'm going through this, I'm going through that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to like to garner sympathy or anything, but it's just like people, I understand how the world responds to me
Mm-hmm.
and like I'm human too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, I'm going through this. This is what I'm doing. Are you like, or can you help me with it? Like
Right.
I don't mind showing that like I'm regular
Yeah.
I'm not above the fray. Again, no one's exempt from life's curveballs or anything like that. Like you just, I'm swinging too.
Yep.
Sometimes I hit, sometimes I miss, and if I strike out, we got 3 outs. So
Yep.
you know,
I think you probably have more than 3 outs, really, but
I have to shout out to my guardian angels because they're doing an amazing
oh yeah,
job.
oh yeah. I oh shoot, you said something that triggered in my head. I'll think of it in a second. But
Take your time.
um, when well, like you said, when you post that, you're not posting it like for people to be like, oh, poor Alan. It's more like, yes, this is life. Like I have life too, because I've had people say to me, well, you're so strong, and I'm like, well, I didn't get strong overnight, right?
Yeah,
I got sober 18 years ago. It's been a journey of getting stronger. And
yeah,
when you said too, life's going to come, I talk about my one friend and I would do TikTok lives about recovery. And I always say, life still happens no matter what we go through. And we're going to walk out that door and something in life is going to happen, because there's not this big bubble around me that says, Tammy's sober, so don't let life happen to her because you don't want to trigger anything. So I think that's
very
when we
true.
have to learn the tools to use in our life to get us through the days and the things. No matter if it's you're sober, you're not sober, it's just getting through everyday life. And I know watching your journey with your daughter, you went through some struggles with that for sure. I saw,
Definitely, and it's really still struggling. To be
yeah,
honest with you, I have my daughter often, and it's not a task. I'm just stating the impetus for you know the situations I'm going through as
mm-hmm.
far as she's concerned. But I have her often. I do what I can as a father. I know it's not going to be perfect. There's no manual. I'm an older father. She's 2 years old. A lot of my friends and colleagues and peers, kids in high school, they got grown kids.
Right.
Here I am with a 2 year old going through things they went through when they were 20. So the learning curve is fast, but I still pay child support. I was going through a thing about that
Yeah.
for a while, and then still having to pay and go to court and retain lawyers and just continuances and all this other weird stuff. So, um, but like that's one of those things where I just got to do it though.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely going through struggles. It took me a while to kind of reconcile that in my mind. I looked at a lot of my other reliable friends as far as fatherhood is concerned. Got some good advice from some people who were going through similar stuff, and it's like, oh man, but look, I'm going through this. This is what I did, and you kind of pick the bones off the meat. It's like a piece of fish. Jesus gave people fish,
Right. Right.
and that's just
Yeah.
But um, you got to pick the bones off the meat, and then discard what you don't need and take what you need with you. I think the number one thing is, and this is where a lot of people, in my humble estimation, is where I messed up for real, because it's a simple mistake to make, especially as fast paced as life is today. You have to know what you want.
Mm.
No one's successful on accident. No one does or anything or accomplishes anything noteworthy accidentally. You have to be very intentional with your goals, so your actions will follow. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know where you're going, how you even gonna know if you get off track?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of set a goal in my mind to I got to get out of here, and I made myself a good football player in high school, just using my life examples. Um, I made up in my mind like I have to be a father to this girl. So no matter what obstacle is thrown at me, like that's just something I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we rise to our expectations of ourselves.
Mm.
So I think that was dope right there. I might have to put that
You
in the
might have,
book.
we'll have to make sure that on the recording we write that down.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you have a new journey that you're getting ready to go on, right? You get a new job.
Yes. Okay, so I kind of had the whole gambit of experiences. I've done hard labor. I've worked on farms. I've had internships and different opportunities with Fortune 500 companies. I was door to door selling cable. Um, I worked at Chrysler factories. Worked at the
I was
casino.
gonna say he was a dealer.
You know what I'm saying? That's a myriad of experience. Craps a live and he sells high lows. Yeah, you feel me? But I was recently hired as a teacher. So, and I'm teaching fourth graders.
It's exciting.
So it is. I'm very excited about it. I actually got a tour of my classroom yesterday.
Yeah.
I had to go in and fill out some paperwork, and I mean, it's just. I think it's a great opportunity. And one thing I've come to understand about myself is like we live in a capitalist America, so you kind of always need money.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like always a B tool in most things, but it is definitely not the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've had my downs, but I've definitely had my ups.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely had my ups, and because I wasn't straight in here and in here, one on
Yeah.
the same accord, like the money don't even feel the same. Like
Right.
so, it's just it really kind of don't even matter unless you have yourself together. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you just I kind of forgot my point because the money thing I think is very important. It kind of sidetracked me a bit.
That's right. We were talking about school teaching and
That's right. Oh
yeah.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
making less money,
Yeah.
making far less money, but than than what I made in the past and what I made even recently. So, but it's the opportunity to kind of build on the youth, and then
Yes.
we kind of never know where time will take us.
That's right.
But maybe in the next 5, 10 years, I'll be I'll be have made some type of impact worth a noteworthy impact.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. 8 years down the road at their senior class are going to be Mr. Jones taught me this.
Yeah,
Right?
and it's kind of because I got teachers I remember.
Yeah.
Excuse me. My first fishing trip, I was in 6th grade. Like I said, a lot of people kind of saw a promise in me.
Uh-huh.
So for whatever reason, they used to, I don't know, but my 6th grade teacher helped me get a scholarship to Ohio State. We had a program called the Young Scholars for like outstanding students. They chose like 10 people, 10 kids in the whole state.
Okay.
I was one of the 10. She kind of helped me earn that. Should have went to Ohio State, the Buckeyes. Um, and my first fishing trip was with her husband.
Okay.
Shout out to Miss Brazel. Mr. Paz, when I was, kind of going through that stuff at home,
Mm-hmm.
junior high, I used to fight a lot all the time. Like in school, it don't matter. You say the wrong thing to me, like I'm fighting you off top. Mr. Paz used to sit me down, hide me in his coat room when they was looking like who was fighting. This was before camera surveillance, all
Right.
that.
Right.
So, it like I mean, shout out to Mr. Paz. And not that that's something that a teacher has to do, but
Right.
like you're in position to really help and shape and mold so many
Mm-hmm.
young lives in a positive manner. And to be honest, the road that I was headed down, if it weren't for my teachers,
Mm-hmm.
because football was easy, I got to be violent.
Right.
That's probably why I was good at it. And I kind of needed that outlet at that time. But in class, like when I'm supposed to sit still and I got to listen to you and work with you, like I don't even know how to do that.
Right.
So, but they kind of showed me some things. Um, Maybe 5 or 6 others. Dr. Smith, Miss Warrensley, and kind of did things beyond the classroom that made me who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm able to still be here, to be honest with you, because like I said, the outcomes of the way I was headed, I don't really like those options.
Yeah.
So I get a chance to do that. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
amazing.
awesome. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome. Had you ever, how long ago did you decide that you thought you wanted to be a teacher? Just out of curiosity.
I feel like I've been teaching all my life, to be
Well,
honest
yeah,
with
yeah.
you. Not that, like, oh, you learn from me. I know the
Right.
stuff. But just building with people and then sharing my experiences is one
Mm-hmm.
way I teach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all know the saying, oh, if it changed one life, then I did mine.
Right.
Through music, through conversations and podcasts like these that expose my story.
Yeah.
I might talk a little too much for a lot of people, but there might be a few people that actually like, my story, where I'm going with it, what I came through. And it may motivate them or, speak to their soul in a way to help them. So in that
Yeah.
regard, I feel like I've been teaching a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only because I've been learning a long time.
That's good.
Never really stopped. honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. I'm
Don't
paying
ever stop
attention.
learning.
You can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
I think that's really important
Yeah.
to learn every day. Something, there's something out there every day we can learn.
I think people definitely, you kind of have to have an attitude to be receptive to certain things. Um, they say receive your blessings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really all about perspectives. And when you read or learn or see something, they're all tools in expanding your perspective. I feel like the burden of understanding puts responsibility on people to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you, okay, and I'll just use this situation with my daughter. Like nothing really annoys me than when I've been, out ripping and running and I'm tired, I want to lay down. She's making noise, she want to be up. But I understand, was she a 2-year old?
Right,
Like
right.
that's kind of what they do, or when she spills something or drops something or
Yeah.
anything like that. So the burden falls on me to diffuse the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of take that same mindset into interactions with people. It's like they having a day right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not to tolerate disrespect or, because everyone has their certain boundaries
Sure.
and things like that. But they having a day at work with a colleague or something. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I understand, I've been through it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and when I have my days, I just I would hope people kind of have the same understanding when I'm going through my thing, even though a lot of times they don't. But
right.
So what? But I know in the burden, I understand that they don't.
Yeah.
So I forget that. It's just a lot of stuff. Really, at the end of the day, for lack of a better phrase, it don't matter. So
true.
Like you just kind of got to focus, and it's not that other people don't matter, but I was actually reading something. I'll be talking a lot.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I was reading some a Japanese guy. I don't want to misquote his name, but he was saying, and this is just his perspective, but I kind of line like I like it. He was saying in this life, it's not important to become the best fighter, the best rapper, the best, and I'm paraphrasing, but in this life and his experience, your goal should be to have a pleasant life for yourself. And if you are fortunate enough, you help others do the same because you basically, if there's suffering in your environment, you'll never be able to escape it. And for some people, the environment is my household or my job, or some people take on a world responsibility, or like my friend Tommy here, she's taking on a responsibility to help you with her story and inviting others to do the same. So like that's how you got to help people. Like you got to have a good life for yourself, and then you got to help people, and it's really that simple.
Yeah.
To me.
No, it's true. And it's, I think I actually did a podcast about this one day about, cause some people think that when they're making a peaceful life for themselves, they're being selfish, and you're not really being selfish, because in order for me to help other people, I have to be at peace. I can't be out here in the world trying to help people and I'm struggling so much inside myself.
It's very true. Got another idiom for you. You can't pour from an empty cup. You ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
I say this even with my daughter, and this is one thing she's helped me realize. Like I just jumping out the window, spending all my money, spending all this weird stuff for her birthday. She 2. I'm about to get her these shoes, that shoes. But I'm like, that's stupid. She can't even wear them shoes in like a month. Like,
right.
Why am I doing this? Let me get myself together, then I can get her together. So, that's really like a small example, but even with my daughter, like, baby, I'll come first.
Right.
Because what can I give you if I'm not put together?
Exactly.
It's self-preservation.
That's so true. That's so true. I actually, because, well, of course, growing up, my son, I can't say I was a bad mom. I was a good mom, but I drank a lot and I wasn't home a lot. I was at work all the time. And so I just sent him an apology the other day. Like, I am sorry that I wasn't that mom. Right. And he was like, no, you taught me respect, you taught me how to love, you taught me things that most kids never will have. And it kind of put it in perspective to me too, is at the same time that I wasn't being the mom that I thought I should be, I was doing the best that I could for him.
And that's kind of why I forgive my mom. Like, and I'm like, we be kind of tying back, so I'm talking a lot. But if you've been listening, the ideas is kind
Yeah,
of connected.
yeah.
Like my relation, like my mom, I saw what she had to struggle through. I know her past.
Mhm.
Um, I know what I've heard. I wasn't there, but I understand and know my mother and why she is the way she is. She loved us to life. She did
Mhm.
everything she could. Even the situation with us going to foster care, it wasn't that we were neglected or abused or anything like that. Although we had our scraps and we had our situations in the house, my brothers, different people that would come around, just going outside, people coming to the house, like weird stuff.
Right.
But she doesn't understand how amazing of a mother she was, because today it might look like or sound like I'm successful and I'm smart. I actually look up to my younger brothers, who I'm just now realizing looked up to me this whole time.
Mm.
Got some reciprocity there. But my my brother that's a year younger than me, he actually had to do 2.5 years in prison for spitting on the police because they came to the house and they was whooping on him. They hit him in the mouth, and he spit blood in their face. So I just gave him like 23 months, something like 18, 20, something like that. But as of today, oh yeah, and that's a felony and all that. But as of today, he's a database administrator
Mm.
for a hospital chain.
Good
Let's
for
just call
him.
it that. He travels, making good money. He doing his thing. Like,
Good.
wasn't supposed to. So I look up to him.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest brother, I'm not the athlete that they were. I was decent, but I was really more hard work and heart than
Mm-hmm.
natural ability. My youngest brother, he didn't play ball overseas. He had tryouts with a couple of NBA teams, pro ball over Brazil. Like, he's literally traveled the world playing sports. I went to Tiffin. So, and as of today, he's married, just broke land on in Dallas, Texas,
Nice.
building a house. Like, so, I look up to my bros for real.
Right.
Like,
But you said they look up to you, and you didn't know that.
weird, because I don't feel like even I'm the best big brother. Big brother, like,
Right.
there's more I could have done. Like, I know what I did, but
Right.
I'm kind of so hard on myself about what I didn't do, how I could have
Mm-hmm.
improved. And just kind of like the same with my mother. It's just like we always in our own head about what we could have done. I think
Mm-hmm.
as long as your actions come out of genuine space and good energy, everything will work itself out.
Yeah.
Kind of got to let time do its job, and things in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, you doing what you felt you had to do
Mm-hmm.
at the time. Maybe at that point in your life, with the alcohol, and that's something I understand very well. Not that our struggles are the
Right.
same,
Right.
but it's just I know sometimes what life
Mm-hmm.
can force you to do when you don't have it all together at sometimes, but then it's life forcing.
Right.
No, you gotta force life. You gotta
Yes.
come here. But that was part of your journey at that time. Now
Right.
look at you.
Right.
Like, it's what you do at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It might not seem right in retrospect, but get out of your own head.
Mm-hmm.
And then you was like, I had to do that
Right.
based on my understanding, my resources, and a lot of other that's what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as my understanding grows, resources and variables may grow.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can do this.
Right. Right.
I don't have to feel boxed in. So when I say I do what I want to do, this it's kind of like what I want to do is have a good life and help people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, even though that may sound selfish, or
Have a good life and help people? No,
yeah,
that doesn't sound selfish.
yeah, but no, because that's what I want though.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's what I'm gonna get. And then I think whatever you do that makes you happy, that doesn't impede other people, like,
Mm-hmm.
do that,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
um, we have to. Like, kindness is kind of like your rent for space on this earth.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
It's Muhammad Ali paraphrase. Oh, Muhammad Ali got the best quotes. He also says, life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it.
Mm-hmm.
That might be an exact quote.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good quote.
it's attitude is everything,
Yep.
and it's not something that you're gonna wake up and say, "I'm gonna change my life today." But that's where it starts, though.
Right. Right. That's where it
That's where it
starts.
starts.
Yes.
And you got to build habits.
Yes.
If you do that every day, your mind will start to change what you see, what you take in your computer.
Mm-hmm.
This thing like them charging pads, you just set the phone on and it charge.
Yeah.
So if you watching this, seeing this, it's kind of like that's subconsciously what you take in.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of change some of the things you see.
Yes.
Yeah.
On that note, a couple years ago, well, it's probably been about 4 years ago, I was kind of like, you know what, I'm just not going to really watch TV anymore, and not. I still watch like a Dancing with the Stars or one of those shows here and there, but never did. And I got away from that. Well, then, of course, when COVID hit in 2020, there was really nothing to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember I laid on my couch and I was watching the news and the news and the news, and it was probably, I want to say it was 2 to 3 weeks in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to shut this TV off. It is so depressing to me. I didn't want to do anything. And I'm like, this is not me. But what you're just saying right there, it was what my brain was getting fed, was all of that negativity and, all of that scared, fear, everything. And I got to the point that I didn't even want to get up off my couch. And I'm like, okay, this is not me. Shut that TV off. And I still, to this day, now I don't watch TV either. I don't even have a TV yet in my new place because I feel like there's so much between the negativity, but also like we say, the highlight reels of life.
Okay, so we came up at a time where there wasn't no internet, nothing. So TV kind of used to be necessary.
Right.
It's kind of where people in newspapers and what other people said had to be and felt.
Mm-hmm.
They put their spin on it. But today, TV's, I mean, once you get your bed and your couch and a couple dishes, whatever, like you don't really need a TV.
Yep.
It's what they do is they call it television programming for a reason. Um, they really try to program you and call fear mongering. It's really how they control people through ideas, through mass media. So when you hear people speak of those types of things, that's the concept and idea they're referring to. There were plenty experiments and everything done. So for all my Scientologists out there, you can verify the way TV and subliminal imaging and subconscious conception of ideas, like how that comes to manifest, like it's, and fear is crippling. So yeah, we're gonna lock all y'all in the house. We're gonna put this virus in it. If I'm speaking my perspective, that's
Right.
my bad. Because I know people that die from COVID. I know people that have people that die from COVID.
Yeah.
So disclaimer, this is in no way to disrespect, but it's a programming, like this whole thing is a simulation. Now, who's running it? Not quite sure, but it's almost kind of like Neo in the Matrix. If you break your mind open, stuff kind of start to happen. And what they try to do is control that mind through fear. And I done had them dark days I just slept in the dark on the couch in the daylight. Been there. I've neglected other things that I should have been doing, and that was just you know not the best thing to do at the time, clearly, but something I had to do. It was something I was going through. But shutting the TV off definitely helped with all of that.
Yeah, for sure, because it's what we feed our minds. So that's every morning when I get up. These are just tips for people that I do, but I listen to some type of motivational video, whether it's leaving your past behind you. That's what I listened to today. So I put that on my post today. Like, don't live in the past. The past will kill you if you live in the past, like we were talking about. We've been through things, so take those experiences, learn from them, and then move on. Because if I lived in that little rear view mirror my whole life, I've seen people that they're still living when they were 8 years old and what their parents did or somebody did to them at 8 years old. And they're never going to be able to grow because they just stay in that place. So I've learned to let go. I've learned to detach. I've learned to know that every day I get up, I'm grateful to be on this planet Earth. and I'm going to make sure that I make somebody smile in a day. That's my goal every day. Just if I can just make somebody smile today and their life a little better, then I'm grateful.
I know that's right.
You know,
It makes the day fulfilling for sure. Sports analogy. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Okay, so life is like this. Is why you got to set goals. Okay, you got the national championship. Let's do college football. Got the national championship. That's the long term goal.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get to that goal, you got to win each game.
Mm-hmm.
In order to win the games, you got to score touchdowns. Now, the national championship, that's the big celebration. We made it. We made it. Winning the game, you can step in closer to your goal. So you might celebrate each of those things as you should. Pat yourself on it, but you got to be nice to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be real with yourself, but be nice to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to score touchdowns within the game. Oh, you want to get good enough to score touchdowns? You got to be good at the plays. How you get at the plays? You practice, work out, you become a better athlete. So it's really, you can't just be like, oh, national championship. It's things that have to happen.
Yes.
And if you really want to experience the goal, your national championship, you kind of got to do the stuff in between. You got to you got to win the games. You got to score the touchdowns. You got to get good at the plays. And that's basically it. Kind of tied back into knowing what you want. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to be informed and like understand or take on news perspective and argue those perspective, that's fine. Like, because I'm not knocking nobody that do that. Like, y'all watching the news and stuff don't really affect me none. Mm-hmm. Really, I mean, kind of, sort of, but not really. But you kind of have to decide what you want, and then your national champion. Oh, I know what I got to do. So if you start with changing your mind instead of doing, waking up watching the news in the morning, do daily affirmations. Yes. Try to read something. I remember watching E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
When I was young, he's amazing, just an amazing speaker and motivator. Yes. It's like, I was about to run through a brick wall right now.
Right. How bad do you really want to breathe?
Yeah, right. It's just those are the things you kind of got to feed yourself, and that's not you. I'm just speaking.
No, it's true.
But my mentality is kind of like that. Like, mm-hmm. I resonate with that energy. So It's like, yeah, he's not harming nobody. It's like, why sheath your inner warrior? Like, mm-hmm. Unleash it, feed it, and unleash it.
Yes.
And that don't mean be violent. That don't mean take nothing over. That don't mean impede anybody else's progress. But if you set goals in your mind, you got to go get them.
That's right. Well, this has been great.
I really appreciate this talk. This was it's pretty cool.
I thought it was awesome.
I am a little nervous only because I don't really like speaking and sharing a bunch of ideas with people sometimes because people are kind of like sensitive, but like the whole feng shui conversation, it was mild for me. It was cool. Like, you kept it cool. Tell me, like, that's what's up.
Well, I think it's awesome that you gave me the opportunity to hear your story and everybody else. And I just, I'll never forget at the casino. I don't know if it was like when you first started after I was already there and you walked by me and you smiled, and I thought, man, he has a nice smile. There is something about this guy. And here we are 9 years later chatting.
And you know what? You're very humble, and that like will get you a long way. For you to have come as far as you've come, just in life in general, even with the podcast, I really like what you're doing. I feel I'm very appreciative of just you allowing me into your space and me having a story that you may even think would be interesting enough for people to care about. So, like, Tammy, you super dope.
Thanks.
And I know, like, if you keep setting your goals, it's not a matter of what happens. It's only a matter of time.
Thank you. So, thank you for that. Now I get a hug afterwards?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Alan. So thank you, everybody, for getting on Hope today. We appreciate it. Alan, I enjoyed your story. I'm sure we're going to touch back after your teaching for about a year or two. I want to hear how that's all going.
Yeah, definitely. We can tap back in. Hopefully them kids don't drive me crazy and I'll be gray all down here. But
next interview, you see, Ellen's all white like me. We're like white together.
or did
Well,
I already lost
there's
all that. So
that. So thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has an amazing day. And don't forget, you're not struggling alone. There's so many people out here struggling, but there's so many people that have gotten to a strength. And it's all about what you're going to put into your mind, into your heart, and just, stay positive and try to put that smile on your face. You all have a blessed day. Thanks.